Always Wednesday I do my little live chats if you want to join along. One day it will be a completely different topic. Excuse my awful old ironing board behind me. I've just realised she's such an embarrassment. Today I'm cutting out patterns and then I'm potentially going to cut out the fabric for my weaving coat. So I will give it a few minutes. I'm just cutting out the actual main size. This is what I do whenever I cut out patterns like dresses. So this is from Simplicity. So I have lots of patterns. I have made my own clothes in the past. So what I do, and it's my tip, my top tip, is whenever you cut out a pattern, you never know, A, if you get big and put weight on, or you shrink and lose weight. So I always just generally cut out the pattern on its largest section. The odds of me ever getting as large as an extra large is very slim, I hope. Anyway, I always say to Phil, if I get that big, please shoot me now. So my pattern I am going for is Sarah Howard's Get Weaving pattern, and I'm going for option B, which is the wraparound coat with the lapels. Okay, she does have two options of this one. It's a straightforward, but this is the one that I want. Okay, so that's what I've got to do now. Just double check your patterns, look at them. This one here, which is the front line of the coat on the panel, and down the bottom it says option version A and version B. So version B, I don't want to cut any further or any higher up that line. So I'm just cutting them out while I'm waiting for anyone to turn up. So I've done all my measurements. I did all them last week. Booklet is here somewhere. It's underneath this. So I'll just cut this. I've already done the warp servage and the belt because it was the easiest ones to do. So I'll just put that to one side so I know where it is. And I'm just going to literally cut out all the way around the pattern. And as I say, I do this on all my patterns. I always cut out the largest section. I never cut it off because, as I say, you never know what's going to happen in the future. And I'm just going to cut around here. And then this curves. This is the sleeve. I'm just looking at this and hoping, oh my Lord, I hope I've got a wide enough width on my weave for this. Do you know those moments you have a panic attack and you're like, I don't think I'm going to do this. So anyway, I'll just keep on going and hopefully I'll wing it. I'm sure I had that same sensation when I did my dungaree dress. So just keep going, just cut along this edge here. And I'll show you what I do to make sure that I'm cutting out the fabric on the right size that I need. And it's just about folding and just slitting angles in to make sure you get it to the size you need. And not just that, you may find that certain areas of the pattern isn't going to quite fit the measurements that you need for your clothes anyway. So here's the other side. So version B, version A is the lines on there. So I'm just going to cut this bottom section. Take that waste off the paper. Got loads of stuff going on at the moment. I feel like I'm spinning lots of plates and nothing's even started yet. So hopefully things that I've got going on, we're finally getting jobs done on the house that should have been done before COVID. Obviously like everybody else, you move into a property and a year later you can't get a tradesman for love of money. Now I can't even get people to blink and answer phone calls and get back to me. So, just chasing my own tail at the moment. Still feeling a bit gonky and fluey, but I'm not half as bad as I was last week. Right, so the top bit here for the shoulder section, just straight down here. And there, and then the arm section. My plan is that this, Phil's got these floorboards for up in the loft, but we've got, I would say, just under half of what he'll need for the loft section, and he's got all up in the workshop upstairs. as everybody knows from my live chats, there's a wardrobe hiding a monstrosity of shame behind it. So my plan is for this work table to get taken upstairs into my workshop, so then I can do all my crafty things upstairs. And then I want a dining table. Oh, I miss having a dining table. I always wanted an island, but now I've had one for 3 years. It's like I miss it. I love eating my dinner at the at a dining table, and you can only sit on one side of the island. So that island is coming into here, and this will turn into my customer relations room, I'm going to call it. So when anybody comes to pick up their orders from my house or passing by and want to come in and have a feel of my floof, then this island will be in here, and it'll have all my sewing stuff in it and all my fabrics, so they're not squashed away in boxes and I have no idea where anything is or even what I've got. So I can have a proper workstation. I can sit there and use it as a packing station as well, and I'm constantly having to climb underneath this to get to my envelopes, and so it'll just make my life a little bit easier and a bit more organised. There's one thing about being an ex-chef is needing to be organised. So, right. So that's all 3 sections cut out bar the what belt. So the belt here, that's the belt. And it says I will need to cut that twice. So just look at the notes that are on things, because even on normal sewing patterns, they'll give you instructions on the pattern as well, not just on the actual envelope. So if you're looking for anything, just double check what it is you're reading, okay? So next, what I want to do, so my measurements are here. Now, according to Sarah Howard's measurements, I am a large on my bust, an extra large on my waist, and a medium on my hips, and a medium in my back to waist, which large. Now I got, oh, I'll show you Doris in a minute. Doris is upstairs, my new doll, my sewing dolly. So she's upstairs, and it comes with standard sewing sizes, measurement guides. And according to that, I am a medium all the way through, apart from my waist. I mean, come on, I've had 3 sections. There's nothing going on down there anymore. There's no way I'm going to get that back. So I'm generally quite straight. I have got a bit of a curve there. So we'll model it out as we go along. I've still got to pad in my doll and do the wadding sections to just fill it out in places that the doll can't quite get to, because I've fully extended it in the waist and I can't get any more. So I need to pad out the waist sections a little bit, and I also need to make some padding, which I don't want to do yet because I've got calico for doing this. So any calico hopefully that I've got left over, I'll be able to use that, fill it up with clean fleece is what I thought would probably the best thing to do, because then it'll be nice and padded and I can quilt over the top of it. And then I can use that to extend the shoulder sections that I need for the length I need, and then round it off here so I can use it for pinning in. And then on the front of my, pardon me, my sewing doll, I've got to fill in the gusset here, and I've got to fill in the sides here, so that if I have to put any pins in for seams and things like that, then there's somewhere for me to put the pins in. So I've still got to finish sorting her out. As I say, I've had loads going on this last week, and I've just had to do the batty clubs. That's a nightmare. And I thought I only had 7 orders. I had 9 orders, and I've done a giveaway. So yes, so it's been a long-winded couple of days trying to get into the flow of things, because I hadn't blended anything for a fortnight because I've been poorly, and the week before I was over at Cath's Decorating, which is I think is the reason why I ended up poorly. So yeah, so I sort of knocked off kilter and I'd lost my flow. So right, according to this, I will just go and grab my tape measure. I'm sure it's just in here. I'm sure I had a spare one just in here. Oh, do you know, it's always the same. Always the same. I can't find it. Right. What I'll do is I'll just get this going, and then we'll have to pop up the stairs, and I will have to go and find my tape measure. I've got two of the exact same one. Right, so when I'm adjusting the pattern so I don't lose any of these, I literally just fold it over. So according to her, my waist is a large, so I can always fold that over, and if I think that's not right or it's going to be too big, I can always unfold it again. To be fair, I definitely feel like this is going to be far too big because I've got to cut out two of these. So I mean, that on its own, though, to be fair, it has to wrap around, so yeah, maybe, and then the lapel crosses over. Okay, so yeah, so I'll stick with the large on that one, and then I want to cut around, fold around here, so I'm just going to get my scissors, and I'm just going to snip down at an angle there, and angle there, angle there, angle there, and that should allow me to be able to fold these in on a smooth arch. So I'll just fold that over there. And I need one more snip, I think, because that's not going to do it. So another snip down, there we go. So fold that over, there we go, and then fold this piece over, and then fold, oh, you can't see what I'm doing, I'll just point you down a little bit. That's easier. Fold that section over, and then another piece here that I'm starting to get onto the straight a bit so it's not too fiddly, and then straight up the top here on this same line. Okay, so according to my measurements, I'm not really that long in the thingy, so I would have quite happily have amalgamated that, because that large is going to be too big for my shoulders and it's going to really hang down a bit. So I think what I'll do is I'll come in a section so it starts to hit the medium on here, and I can, when I pop up the stairs in a minute, I can always just double check with my tape measure to make sure that I've got all the edges in the right place. So I'm just folding over here, and then I've got a really thin line here to cut down, well, not to cut down, just to trim little sections, little snip there, and a snip there because it's still an arc, a snip there, still an arc, one there, and that should do it. So I'm just going to fold these over on the line. Sarah does make her clothes to sit with her knees on them. They are usually quite forgiving. So if you feel like the pattern is too big to start with, just to say, make sure you've got your body measurements right. You can measure sections on yourself as you go along to make sure that the pattern before you even cut your fabric is done right. But that's the whole point, is why I'm going to be doing a mock-up first, so I know where the bits are that I need to adjust. So that's one done. Okay, all accounted for, and I've got to do the exact same thing on this other one. So turn it around, oh, go up to the extra large mark, on a minute, small, extra small line, medium small line, medium line, and large line, and then extra large. Yeah, do you know, you have to constantly second guessing myself all the time these days. It's going to be something to do with my age. Right, so again, I want to just go along and snip on the curves, just so when I fold it, I have a better range of folding area without it. There we go, that'll do. So folding on this line here, so fold on the line, fold on the line. This stuff, once you've done it once, it's not so bad. It's just all a bit fiddly and fittery, and if you keep your pattern the way you started it, when you come back to it later down the line, you know where all your creases are, and you just have to just redo your measurements to make sure that you've not I'm going to come in just a pinch there, because I feel like that might be too wide for my little shoulders. There we go. So that is your back piece, and that is your front piece. So you can see that that's a lot slimmer in comparison to the front piece, which is going to wrap over. See? So if I turn that around and match it up to the shoulder, you can see that's just perfect. And this is the section that's going to be sitting halfway over. There you go. Halfway over with the lapel folded backwards. And then you've got some twisting sections here where the fabric sits on top of itself. Okay, so the next piece is my sleeve. So again, I'm going to do the exact same thing as I've done the first time round. So I'm going to cut my fold over my bottom line. As I say, I would definitely never, ever, ever, if I can avoid it, cut any of my lines from the next size up. Because as I say, you never know what happens in the future. Us women, we can get all sorts of things that really we can't control. Like fibroids that make your tummy swell out. Not pleasant, but these things happen. It's just a matter of trying to adapt with it. So never ever ever cut a pattern for clothing to the exact measurements that you need in case you've mucked it all up. Is another reason. Or again, as I say, you lose weight. So I've got to get to this section now, and it's just this really fiddly little piece up the top on the sleeve. So again, with my scissors, I'm just going to go up along. I mean, I'm not cutting it off, I'm just adapting the line so that when I fold it, I can get a really good folding line all the way across the pattern, because it's on a curve, so it just gives you that little bit of ease. And I will do something very similar with the fabric as well, especially if it's the area that you're doing your hemming on. It just gives you that little bit more freedom to move around on the cut. So fold that over and just follow the line all the way across. See, like that, fold it over, fold that over. Okay, there we go, all the way along. And each section of these, you need 2 of them cut off. And inside Sarah Howard's little booklets, when you get your pattern, she gives you all the instructions that you will need to be able to complete this. Okay. So that's it, folded over, and see how much easier that is. I mean, if you're making bags and that sort of thing, then you don't need to go to so much effort to cut these edges. It's just for yourself, for clothing. So I've got 2 other pieces here. This is the collar, and it says warp on there, but I'll have to read why she's written warp. And again, this has got different sizes for different belt widths. So for me, this says, oh no, it's not belt, it's the collar. So cut collar 1 on the fold. So literally you cut it the size you need, and then I'm presuming it says cut collar 1 on fold. So fold over your fabric and then cut it. So if I had 2 pieces of these, or 2 bits of fabric, or 1 piece of fabric, I would fold it over on itself, cut to the measurement I need, and then that's me. So it's needing a large, so I'm just going to fold that over, and that's that done. Right, so I'll read the first page of Sarah's book. To ensure a good fit and test the suitability of your hand-woven fabric for a particular garment, I suggest making a mock-up first by an expensive piece of purchased fabric or a similar thickness and drape. By doing the first, you'll know that your hand weaving won't be wasted and you'll have something that fits and that you love to wear. Check the pattern sizes. Which one is your closest? You can always take it in a bit if it's too big, or make it larger is a bit of a trickier. But the enclosed pattern paper pieces out of spare fabric, tack with normal seams and then try it on. Is it the right length? Are the shoulders the right width? Are the armholes the right size? How about the neckline? Bearing in mind you'll lose a bit of the finishing. How is it going to fasten? What sort of hem will it have? Fit and fiddle until you get it how you like it, and then alter your paper pattern accordingly so that you can use it again. Write any particular features in the pattern so you remember what to do next time you use it. So like, even if it's like here on the sleeve, so if you feel like your shoulders aren't half as big as what the pattern tries to make them to look like, then at least that way you can adjust a little bit and leave enough for your hemming. Try making the same garment again, but this time change up the colours or the colours you use. Use your own hand spun if you wish. Add pockets and seam details, a belt of ties for shaping. All the hard work will be sorted out in the mock-up, and then each version you make will be different but just as good as the first time. So after cutting your woven fabric, after cutting out your hand woven fabric and before you start sewing, apply 12mm or 1/2 inch strips of iron-on woven interfacing to the wrong side of your cut edges before overlocking or zigzagging them to give a secure professional finish to the seam. So the book that she refers to is Get Weaving Clothing from Your Rigid Heddle Loom by Sarah Howard and Elizabeth Kedrick, published in 2014. So I will try to remember when this gets uploaded tomorrow, because it takes till the next day for these live chats to come up. I will try and remember to go into the descriptions and leave the name of this book that she refers to and see if you can actually get a hold of it. So then she goes on to cutting directions and layout. Cut a pattern pieces on a single layer of fabric. Keep the servage intact where possible. With a 1/5 of an 1/8 inch or a 15mm seam allowances included in all pieces. Trace the pattern piece if you wish so you can lay them all out on fabric together or cut and reuse the ones you need. 5 pattern pieces included, and you will need version A, 2 fronts, 2 backs, 2 sleeves, or version B, 2 fronts, 2 backs, 2 sleeves, 1 collar and a belt. Place the front and back centre seams and sleeve hems on the slevage and do not cut these off. Okay, so they're your working ends, they're your thicker ends, so you need them for being able to sew and keep them together. So inside the booklet you will get how it's going to be laid out on your weaving cloth, the panel that you've made and taken off the loom, and you will have the best way that she recommends to lay it out, and believe me, follow it because it does work. Okay, so from that we go on to the construction. So I'm going to carry on doing this cutting out bit. I'm at 20 minutes at the moment. I will carry on waffling away to myself. No one's here today, so that's fine. It's not a problem. Right, where has it gone? Bag of calico. There we go. Fling that down there on the floor. Grab a cup of coffee. Oh. Oh, that's lovely. And just the right temperature as well. Okay. So I'm going to grab my calico. Hopefully my floor's clean. Actually, if I pull out my little stool, then the odds of the fabric hitting the floor is now slim to maybe. And I've got loads of this stuff, but I wanted to make sure I had more than enough for what I needed. And I went with calico because I thought it was a really good fabric. And when I stitch them together to make the sample piece, all I'm going to do is a quick running stitch through it. Because if anything ever happens to this, then I've always got the fabric as a template on the off chance that I never find this again. But if I get my rooms the way that I want them, then I should never have that problem. Okay, so I'm going to move these out of the way. And I will grab what I need first. I just need to pull out. Now I can't find my flaming chalk pen, my tailor's pen, anywhere. So if I just pull this out, oh, I'm going to, oh crikey, you can't tell where the fucking top starts and the beginning ends. Right, there we go. Hopefully, if I fold this over, if I can find the inside of it, there we go. Make sure my edges match up. Oh, itchy nose, dust. Okay, so what I want to do, I'm not bothering about the servage ends on this at this moment in time because this is just my mock-up, okay? So you've got two options. You can either get your chalk pen and mark around and then cut it out, or you can pin this to your fabric and then cut straight from there. Now, what's the odds of me actually finding my pins without me having a fit? Oh, what are the odds? Oh, I'm in my coffee. I do have. Aha! Got him. Panic over. Right. So I usually cut straight from the pattern. So I'm just going to get my little birdie pins. It's lined up on the bottom. It's lined up over in the corner. And I'm just going to pin the fabric to the paper backwards from myself, so when I'm cutting around I don't jab myself. Oh, there we go, that one in there. Easy peasy. Honestly, cutting out a pattern is not hard work. Just fiddly, fittery, but once you've done it a couple of times, it is quite easy. It's just a matter of putting them all together. So, there we go. In there like that. Put one in here. Just pinch that fabric in that side. Hello, good afternoon, whoever that is that's turned up. Thank you for coming. Like Billy No Mates here today. If I've missed you saying hello, I do apologise. Oh, right. So no doubt you'll watch us again tomorrow. Well, at least the beginning of it. So what I've just been talking about is how I do my pattern cutting outs. So regardless of whether, as I've said already, hold on a second, whether it's a pattern like that for a simplicity dress, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. I always make sure that when I cut out the paper, I cut out up to the largest size, which on this is the large, okay? And then what I do is I literally just go around the edges and fold off to the marking that I need for my measurement. That's the way I do it. I just find it so much easier, so much simpler, and so it means time efficiency. You're not faffing around. You're not going to screw up when it comes to cutting out the sections that you need for your size, because you can always cut and adjust later on. Whole point of doing a mock-up, unless you're really, really confident, which usually I don't do mock-ups, but I am doing for this weaving. I literally cut it around, and then what I do is once I've got the template cut out or the pattern cut out, I will go around to certain sections of my body and I will take remeasurements to make sure that it's not going to be too big. Okay, at the end of the day, you can always unpluck your stitches and just adjust that before you cut the fabric, so you don't make any big balls up, really, is the end of the day. So I've already cut all these out. I've cut it to the largest section, folded in the edges all the way around on my pattern. See, like at the top as well. So if you ever get curved sections, just go down and snip along your curved areas, and it just helps you fold that over to the size that you need a lot more neater. So I've folded, I've got this cut out now. It's on 2 pieces of fabric folded over, and I need 2 sections of this one. So that's what I'm doing now. So I think I've just about got enough pins. I think I'll put one in the middle here, just to make sure that my paper doesn't go anywhere when I get my big scissors on it in a second. So this is the back, and it needs 2 pieces cut out. So I'm literally going to go in like a thug and cut straight down my fabric. And by pinning your fabric to the pattern work, if you're not going to draw around it, it means that when you put it to one side, you know which one's which. Because sometimes you'll get pieces of fabric, the back and the front look exactly the same together, until you go and put them together and you're like, oh, I've got no bust adjustment here. So yeah, it's just as easy to cut it out with your pattern on top, ready to go. Come on, stop being naughty. There we go. I'll just stick that to one side because I'll probably need that for Doris later on. So there we go. That is one piece or two pieces of fabric cut out, attached to my back panel, which I will now just fold over. That's it. So that one is done. I'll stick that to one side. Okay, pull up my next bit of calico so I can do the front panel. Next one, this one. So once again, I'll pull you down so you can see. I am lining it up against the fabric that I've got already. Hold on a minute. There we go. So my fabric's already on a straight line. I've got the sevage end down the bottom on the hem area. And then I'm going to put my pins in. So it's all stuck together and it doesn't want to move anywhere. You spread it out with my hand so the creases don't create any issues for me later on down the line, in the sense of, oh come on, in you go. No, you don't want to go in, do you? No, that one wants to play silly beggars. Right, come on, up. There we go. Right, so go into each point on my pattern. So over here where the arm is, because that will lift as I cut. Another one down here on the waist section. So this is the front panel that I'm cutting out from a mock-up. And then back up here into the arm. There we go. And then another section up here in this corner on the shoulder. Same up here as the pattern starts to change, so when I cut, the fabric shouldn't move. I'm just trying to get it to go in the paper. And I do this, as I say, with all my fabrics. Whenever I'm cutting out patterns for dresses or for skirts, I always do it like this. I just find it that I get a lot more control of my fabric and my cutting rather than just putting in that corner there. Just drawing on, and then the fabric folds. And especially if you've got a shiny fabric, if you've got a really shiny fabric that likes to move around a lot, like I don't think, trying to think of a fabric that does that. Polyester, maybe, crinoline, no, satin or sateen, you know, the cheap shiny stuff. I want to move, love. So I'll just come down this section and do this corner down here, try not to stab myself, become a fabric kebab or kebabble. Right, another one down here in this corner. Do excuse me and my double chin. Okay, and one more down the bottom. Not that I really need it, but it's just there for security. So back in with your fabric scissors. Cut your two pieces at the same time so you know that you're getting the exact same cut all the way along. I want to move, love. And then around this way, up around the shoulders, well, shoulders, up the arms. There we go. Slide that under there, cut along the shoulder. I'm trying to get my scissors underneath. And the neckline. And that's two front panels cut out at the exact same time for your mock-up. Now, as I said already, and I'll show you again quickly because you've missed what I mentioned. on Sarah Howard's patterns, she has the weaving at the pattern, where is it? This is the pattern for the, so I'm going for this version B. So when she cuts out her patterns, makes her patterns up, she makes them so that you can literally lay the cut out patterns on a panel of woven cloth. So the panel that you've woven, see there, so you literally lay them exactly how she has them on this long panel, and if you've done your measurements right and got your width right and got the length right, then it will all fit on the same piece of cloth without any problems whatsoever. Okay, so there is my second section cut out. So that's my front panel, 2 pieces of fabric on one, and again it's put to one side. I can forget about that now. It's cut and it's done. Right, next piece is the sleeve. So I don't waste as much fabric on this one, I am going to adjust my fold, try and bring that over here a little bit. Straighten this out. I need to get my sleeve. There we go. Readjust myself. Right, this is the sleeve pattern that I have to do next. Okay, so I just need to make sure that my fold from this fabric is more than adequate amount for me to be able to fit this on here. There we go. So I've literally left with 1 inch up the top of my fabric here as I'm cutting around. So again, what I'm going to do here, if you just have a look down there, because I'm cutting on the fold, I'm going to make sure that I leave a gap down the bottom side of this, so I remember to cut along there, because otherwise I'll end up with 2 pieces stuck together and I'll be wondering why I've only got 1 sleeve. I know, it's as simple as the silly things, you know, and you don't even think about it until you go to look and you're like, do you know what, you had it here all the time, Jo, you stupid woman. I have done it before, wondering where it is. It's because I've forgotten to cut the bottom section. So I'm just going to straighten this out a little bit. Move this over. Move that up. Straighten out this fabric a bit. Seems a little bit wonky donkey, Jo. There we go. There we go, that's a bit better. Okay. So I'm going to pin this corner in place first. Partly because it's the furthest away, but once I've anchored in this corner and then put a pin, oh come on, pick up the fabric, put a pin in the middle as well, it shouldn't be a problem after that. There we go. If I just go straight down at an angle into this corner here, that straightens out, that squares up. There we go. And again over here, push that down and all on there. Then I end up with no lumps and bumps in my pattern, and everything should be the exact same all the way across. Right, make sure my folds are in. I need to just move that up a little bit because it's not, there we go. It was hanging off the edge of my table, so I just wanted to make sure I had plenty of space for cutting out. So again, over in this far corner, and then I will put a reinforcement in the middle, round about there. Another reinforcement pin round about here. Doesn't matter where you put it. Just a couple, just to make sure it's not going anywhere. So when you cut or pull the fabric, so I'm going to probably need a couple around here. So what I'll do is I'll start from this top end, which is the middle centre of the shoulder. Pin that in place, and I'll put another one over here. It's just, I mean, it's probably too many pins, but I would rather have too many than not enough. Okay. And again over this side, Oh, come on. And in there. Right, scissors, and then get out to cutting. So I'm going to cut straight along the bottom here since it's done. Okay, that one's done. Straight up the side here. Now the reason I've opted for calico as my base fabric is because it doesn't really have any stretch. Whatever you do with it, it stays put. It does have a lovely drapery, which I think is just perfect for hand spun weaving. And it's actually quite a nice fabric to wear as well. Nice and lightweight if you make anything out with it in the future. So I'm just all the way up to the top, all the way around the side. Okay, I'm just going to leave that there. I'm going to come back over to this section here so I can catch myself over in this other corner. Okay. Right on the side of my table so I can reach. Push that under here so I don't cut it off. Okay, so that is 2 pieces of fabric again for the sleeves. So fold that over and put that to one side. Okay, next bit I need to do. So I'm just going to use these pieces here that are folded over and cut out my belt. So on this one here, I need to have cut belt twice. Okay, so it's then along the warp. So along the warp means the length that you've done it. So if this had my weft this way and my warp going that way, I would want to be cutting it like that. Okay, but as I'm not doing it for that, I will literally just pin this into place. Oh, I want 2 of them, don't I? So I want to fold the fabric over again. Okay, fold the fabric over again. Just give that a hand crease so it stays in place. And leave a little bit of a gap at the top again because I can afford to. And just pin them into place, both of those pieces, because I need 2 of them. Put a pin in there. Another one in here. Excuse the dog, she's playing with a rubber ball. And, oh come on, chickens. And another one over here. So if you've got any questions, just shout them out. I will catch them. I'm just waffling away to myself and talking about something that I do quite a lot of. So there's not much I can really talk about. It's just one of those things. So if you've got any questions, ask me. Unless you're finding this interesting, you just sat there spinning away, all weaving. Right. There we go. It's one nearly. I just need to cut this trim up, but I'll do that in a sec once I get this off here. So cut that off there. And all the way up here. Oh, don't catch the other one underneath. Well, thankfully the banging stopped. lunchtime for the builders next door. What a nightmare it's been. They haven't shut up for days. Right, so there's the 2 pieces together for my belt, which we'll sort out. So again, fold that up, put it to one side. It's done. And the other one is my collar, and it says on the collar, GWJRO collar cut 1 on fold. So this time I don't do the snippy bit, okay? I'm just going to cut this off and out of the way. I literally want to cut it folded and leave it as that, okay? If you've never heard that expression before. So I've already folded to the length that I want it at, so I'll take off the extra large section there, and I just fold it over instead of cutting it off. Because as I said earlier on, you never know, you may put weight on, or you may decide that the belt isn't quite wide enough or long enough, and the next size up would have been ideal for you, and if you'd have cut that away, you'd be scuppered. And that's it, full stop, end of story. So I want to make sure that I have got this on the fold perfectly. So what I'll do is I will bring it down a little bit. There's a perfect fold line in there, but it's not the right flaming width. Right, so pull that over there and just hand crease it. Should be enough to do what I need to do. Hand crease that down. Get my template, put it on the edge and grab some pins. So I'm going to put this pin in an angle on this one this time, because I know I don't want to cut that way, and I want to make sure it stays on that edge. And the same here, I'm just going to use my arm to balance that, make sure that stays in place. Okay, and then one in the middle. Push that way. Right, all I'm doing is 3 cuts down the side, and along the bottom. So if I just cut straight along here, next time I do a weave along, I will definitely do, there's a rucksack pattern that I've seen that I would love to do, and I think next time, instead of doing a big clothing project like this, definitely do some sort of another weaving project, but as a bag. And I think that'll be really interesting. So there we go, there's the fold on the fabric, and there is the one piece together, and that will become the collar. So it'll sit around like that. Okay, so that's done. So that's my pieces. Tidy up away after myself. Move everything out my way. Should always tidy up as you go along. It makes your life so much easier. So I'll just grab this. Is there any questions? Anything I might have missed that you'd like to know? Or have you got any tips for doing this sort of thing, cutting out your fabric, that I might have not known? Or I mean, I have been sewing on and off since my teenage years, to be fair. A lot of it I used to do by hand, stitch it all together by hand. I remember making a Jamiroquai hat when I was about, crikey, 12. My mum had some fabric left over from a ball gown that she needed for one of the summer do's, and I made a Jamiroquai floppy hat by hand when I was 12 years old, and I loved that hat. Right, there we go. So just catch that in there. Come on, fabric. It's like trying to fold up a bed sheet. So I am here. My battery's going to run out in a minute. So we've got to the stage of, let me see if I can find a battery pack. I'm going to go pop upstairs. How come you can never find one when you want one? Because my battery's going to die in a minute. Battery pack. Nope, can't find one, but we'll go and pop upstairs really quickly. So I'm just going to show you. You'll be able to see it once I'm plugged in anyway. Just get you plugged in, and then I'll probably pop off because I'm about at my time, I would say. So I'll just plonk you in here. Nope, wrong way. Come on. How come when you're in a rush, you can never get it right? Okay, we're in the bank. Right, so bear with me. So I have got, let's grab her and bring her over here. Oh. Doris. So I've adjusted all the sizes that I need for Doris. She stands about the right height for me as well. So when I was on about earlier on about doing all the padding out that I've got to do, so I've got to pad out a little bit more on this waist. So I'm going to use the calico that I've got left downstairs. I don't need all of it, no comments. And then fill out, make a wadding. So like literally just stitch down the sewing machine, stick in some coal wool or some leftover fleece that I've got that's been washed. So I thought that's probably the best thing to do, use it as a stuffing. And then I need to measure down these sections, fill this in, bit of duct tape or something like that just to hold the padding in place in the front. Need to do the same at the sides, round the back. I want to bulk out the shoulders a little bit because they seem to be a little bit, I think they're about, I don't know, I think they're about right, but I'll have to do another measurement just to double check. But the waist I definitely need to bulk out with a pad. I think I need to raise the shoulder up a little bit with a pad as well. Maybe even bring it out and have it down here. And I'm going to bulk out this section here. Both sides, both back and front. So I've got to get them filled out and wadded before I can get my pattern on there. So if you want, next week we will get the, it gives me another week to get weaving done. I've been too poorly to play with fluff. It's taken me some effort to get my batty clubs done this week and the listings. I'm just absolutely shattered. I've had 2 weeks of doing Sweet Fanny Annie. So yeah, still got coughs and snotters. So next week I'll get the mock-up done, and I'll do some adjustments and see if there's anything needs to be changed on it, and I'll throw it on myself. I'm just going to do a running stitch through mine. As I said earlier, I think for me, I think it's the best way, because if anything happens to my patterns or I can't find them, at least that way I have got the mock-up already. Now, when you get to your point for weaving, get yourself some heat bond, you know, the iron-on stuff that you get. I buy mine from Amazon, but you can get it from anywhere. You've got the sewing box online. My sewing box is where I buy a lot of my fabric stuff and my bonder web, but I buy it in the meterage. I just find it so much easier to do that. Firstly, it's cost effective and means you've always got it in then, and you can cut the exact size that you need. If you need to put a curve in it or something like that on the iron-on, then at least you can do it to what your specifications are. But as I say, you're only needing about 15 mils or something like that all along the edge of your weaving that you've just cut out. Then you can hem it. Then you can do your fraying stitch, you know, like your zigzag or your, I can't remember the hem stitch on the edge of it, and then that'll help keep that really, really secure. So believe me, it will fall apart. I'm just wondering if my dress is here. I have seen it recently, my dungaree dress, but I can't remember where I put it. Let me just see. Where's she hiding? Yeah, it's gone on walkabouts again. This flaming dungaree dress goes on walkabouts all the blinking time. So that's what I'll do next week. I'll get out my dungaree dress and I'll show you why doing the bonder web section is really, really, really important. It does give more longevity to your item that you're wearing. I faffed it. I thought I could get away with it by just doing a basic hem stitch, and I wish I had done the bonder web bit, the iron-on heat webbing, just to secure those in place, because they soften in time. I just didn't have the money to go and get any, and I didn't know about other companies that I could get stuff from, and these sewing boxes, and there's a couple of other ones you can get from Amazon as well if that's easier. You could go to Dunelm, but I think they're a bit expensive for the web tape, and you might actually need a lot more than what you need. You thought you did. So buying yourself a meter of the stuff yourself is so much better and cheaper. Okay, you've got to pay postage, but then you can go and have a mooch for some materials, see if there's anything there you like. You might even want to get yourself some bias binding, so kill two birds with one stone. I will have a look. I'll try to remind myself the names of the companies that I use for buying my haberdashery supplies, and I'll put them in the descriptions tomorrow with the name of the book that Sarah Howard mentions in that little pamphlet that I've got downstairs. This is a Sarah Howard creative weaving. I mentioned this a couple months back on my little book review of all the books that I have, and I'm sure at the back, no, it's not this one. I've got another book, but this one's really good for different colour influences. So different colours you can put together, that when you matrix it changes into a different colour. So like your blues, your pinks and turquoises together. If you want different looks, different colours. So this is written by Sarah Howard and Elizabeth Kendrick as well. They've done a couple of books together, Sarah and Elizabeth. So it's a good book for ideas, to putting stuff together for weaving with. But it's just one of those books. I got it from a customer who was selling off some of her old books. And I think we did a bit of a bargain swap. So yeah, Tour de Fleece, if you're interested, up on the website as well. So you've got 200 grams of an art bat. You've got you've got an option for roving, which is merino and soybean fibre. And I tell you what, I've just posted pictures on my Instagram, and it's really, really pretty. But the one that I did for the roving that's on the picture is the only one that I've had as an order, and I'm dyeing them as the orders come in, so I don't waste anything. But the art spinning set, they've literally just come in the post today, and they all come with a full pack of colour coordinating ribbons, depending on which option you go for, A, B, C or D. So that's the art spinning set. I'm still waiting for the locks to arrive from my fluff dealer down in Lancashire. Not arrived yet, so I can't show the colours on those at this moment. But yes, so they're all available on the website at the moment. So go over and have a look. And I have if you didn't watch the video from yesterday from my Batty Clubs, if you go onto the website and purchase anything between now and Monday before 5 p.m, I think probably the best off, because I'll be announcing a winner for a giveaway. This month's theme art bat with a set of stitch markers. I did put it on an announcement, and if you add YouTube in my messages, let me know so I know that you've ordered that from watching the video. Then your name will be put in a hat and it'll be picked on Monday, and you may get 120 gram May Batty Club bat and a bunch of stitch markers to go in there as well, the complimentary set for this month. So go and pop over. Anyway, I'm off. 57 minutes is more than a long time for me being waffling away. I've got to get myself sorted out, go to the post office and go and dispatch some orders. So take care of yourselves. Thank you for joining me today, whoever you are. Very much appreciated. If you watch this video later on or tomorrow, please hit that like if you enjoyed what I did. Any comments or suggestions, put them in down below. I'll reply to everything. Next week, sorting this old Doris out and getting the mock-up hand stitched and seeing when we need to make adjustments before we start cutting that woven. Thank you very much. Bye.